Hello, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to John McKail from Bullet Express. Thank you very much for joining us today, John.
No problem, David.
Great to see you. Please give us an overview of your business and its position in the supply chain cycle.
No problem. So Bullet is in its 35th year. It was formed in 1990. Bullet connects supply chains for our customers on a global basis. We serve the market with four core offerings, two of which sit in the transport bucket. So we have an express pallet business. The express pallet business has a hub in Scotland. It's in Bodwell, just off the M74. It is the gateway to all Scottish and Irish postcodes for us. And we are fully paid up members of Palex. Now, within the Palex system, it is a gateway to every postcode in England, which is our largest trade partner. So that's business one. Business two is our contract distribution business. That's where we're offering customized services for customers that sit within the aviation markets, the automotive sector, construction, fashion retail, FMCG. And that, if you like, caters for a very large part of our fleet, all under contract. We have quite a substantial storage footprint, shared user storage. So we store about 34,000 pallets. And we offer value-added services within that too, across a wide variety of sectors. I would say in that game, we're more a generalist than a specialist because we do hold and hub many products. In addition to that, we have a worldwide business. A worldwide business, if you look behind me, basically connects the supply chains overseas. So we give our customers that dimension where they can export and import across any mode. And it's also supported by Bullet Customs Care. So our business, in short, is in-house solutions for our customers, connecting their supply chains globally.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I ask everyone the same question. What brought you into the lovely logistics sector?
Oh, well, now that is a story. But like most people, David, I sort of fell into the market. But I was a kid. I got into the market I was very young. I hate saying this, 40 years ago. And I joined United Carriers as a kid. I was a traffic clerk. It was pre-computerization. I became a walking gazetteer of the UK. And customers used to ship back then on their own paperwork. So it was before barcodes. But what a fabulous grounding. And that's really where it started for me. And then over my career, I entered the international engineer, as well as being a very cut and thrust young salesman. And then from there, I progressed really into regional, country, European, and global directorships. So it's been a fabulous international career that I adopted before coming into Bullet.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. 40 years plus, David.
Yeah, we all sort of fell into it generally. Most people do anyway. So, okay, thank you. So, if you could describe the sort of current challenges in the marketplace for your business at the moment.
Well, look, they're very public, can't they? I mean, it's impacting us all. We've all come through supply chain disruptions in many forms. Right now, as we enter the new financial year, which was for Bullet, April the 1st, obviously we've got new government legislation in and around the minimum living wage, which is a big impact for us because it impacts all the layers that we have in our business. So as an independent company, that in itself can become very expensive. Okay. Supply chain disruptions are still very real at the moment. You've got a global landscape. We still have wars going on across the world. It has an impact. And look, Mr. Trump and his crusade with tariffs is also causing quite a bit of disruption. And that certainly impacts frontline business. And we can see that.
No, I appreciate that. And if you look at, what you do in the sector you're in, what are the biggest opportunities and threats maybe for the next sort of 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's a very good question. On October the 16th, 2023, I managed to acquire the business from the owners with a private equity-backed management buyout. Now that for us was a new dawn, and it's created a lot of opportunity for us. Now the investors got behind me because Bullet has a fantastic growth trajectory. We've seen fantastic growth as a business. We've seen operating footprint increase to about 500,000 square foot across 3 centres here in Scotland. And that in itself creates a lot of opportunity. With that scale of business, our trucks and trailers now is about 134. We've seen our employee headcount go from 88 to 155. By July, it'll be 175. And that tells a story because, the Bullet company has grown because we are contract backed. The vast majority of business is contract backed, let me say that. And with that focus on contracts, it means that we are underpinning growth, with commitment, longer term commitment from customers. And that in itself is very exciting. We've got some new projects that are about to kick in. And for us, we've also got a buy and build program underway with the investors. So yeah, the future is very bright.
And what sort of potential threats do you see on the horizon as well for the sector, not necessarily just for Bullet, but just for the logistics sector?
Yeah. It's a good question. Look, at what point do we start to see some stabilization in the global landscape? Because we're not a manufacturing nation anymore here in the UK. We're very dependent on our overseas colleagues and customers and suppliers to make sure we can fulfill services for customers. Threats, I think, if we can't get this China issue settled down with the US quickly enough, people are going to have to start to think about diversions. They're going to have to think about the impact of tarification. They may have to extend lead times, which means that we're all holding more stock. It also means the cost of supply goes up. So ultimately, and it impacts, right at the end of that supply chain, it impacts the consumer. So I think, there are a number of challenges to overcome. Yeah, being in the independent space, if we track back the past 2 years, David, we've seen too many independents go under. So the Bullet mantra is always maintaining a very strong cash position and also making sure that we talk to our customers, we listen to our customers. And then that way, together, it gets us through some of these issues. So I think, there are challenges for us all. I'm talking at a sector level. But equally, it does create some opportunity, and it's picking those battles carefully.
Yeah, no, it's right. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And like you say, there's been some very well-established, good businesses that sadly have not got through, last couple of years. And it's a sad. Maybe they made some poor choices, some of them, and sometimes, the market, the cost rising in the market. Unless you change your pricing as well, it makes it difficult. So, no, well said. Appreciate it, John. What are people in the sector not talking about that perhaps they should be?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and one that gets me thinking. What are we not talking about? I think we need to take a longer term view, right? I think we've all been so we've had to react to so many issues. If I go back the past 5 years, for example, and if you think we've come through pandemics, we have come through Brexit. We've come through driver shortages. I'm giving you examples: fuel hikes, energy spikes, and now up to date. We've got the new government legislation on minimum living wage. To be honest, I think we need to talk more. We need to collaborate more. Yeah. And I'm speaking really as a Scottish logistics company where balance is key, is crucial. We're part of a big club. That club is the Palex network. Where you got in it. There's a bundle, like most networks. I think there's 7 networks in the UK. We should all really be clubbing together more and talking more about the future, and try to explore some of the gaps that we're all facing to try and at least make our businesses more sustainable going forward. I've used the word sustainable, and not to be mixed up with sustainability, ESG sustainable. We'll come back to that in a minute. But these are items that we need to talk about more, I think. In addition, government support. We're in the heartland here in Scotland, around the Lanarkshire area, the east side of Glasgow, where you've got North and South Lanarkshire councils. And we're at the heartland of logistics here. All the big players are here. From Royal Mail to DPD to SEVA, Wincanton, they're all within a stone's throw. We need more government support. We need to see more kids coming through. We need to be attractive to the younger generation. And they're things I feel that we should be talking about. Certainly in my day-to-day, I've spent a lot of time on succession planning around the Bullet business and trying to attract young talent into the company. And I think more innovation and more support, from government advisory, I think would be good for us.
No,
and
that's
I'm
very
talking
good.
at sector level, David. And I'm sure I'm sure it's no different from most zones of the UK.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that several people have brought up is the average age of a driver is circa 55 in the UK, and that is a time bomb that's going to happen unless we do something about it as an organisation and industry. It's a time bomb that's coming along the way, and part of the idea of logisticsisblame.com was to talk about these things and hopefully get people listening. So all the like the association, the pallet networks, the warehouse association, all get together, and hopefully the government listens to experts in the sector. So if they do support us, they support us in the right way. No, I really appreciate that.
I would confidently say in this zone, this area where we are, there has to be at least 250,000 people employed in this sector here. Yeah, that would place it to about 1.5 to 2 in 5 people. You know what I mean? That's a lot of people employed in some form of logistics.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive, absolutely massive. Yeah. And obviously, a bit outside of the normal questions, but obviously we've been based in Scotland, and you mentioned sort of line hauls. Yes. That's both an opportunity and a challenge. But so I imagine balanced line hauls for whatever you're moving up and down must be absolutely critical for the business.
Yeah, we're very obsessed with balance, and we have to be, simply because of the stem mileage we cover to either deliver or collect goods. So yeah, balance is probably, let's just say, it's got the ability to break good businesses if it's not planned properly. I couldn't frame it any more simpler than that, but it's a big thing for us. Yeah. Without putting numbers on it, people still buy and want the product next day. And what does it mean being a Scottish operator? For us, the hub points are around the Midlands, and because of working time directive and legal driving time, we have to double man line hauls. Also, opportunity window is very tight. Our last line hauls get in at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
The first line hauls leave at 5:30 in the evening. Therefore, we achieve an awful lot within a much shorter time span than you do being closer to that epicenter, of the Midlands. So, yeah, good question. And it's probably one of the biggest challenges we have. But Bullet has always been very, very good at managing balance. And I put that down to having the right clientele and the right sort of forecasted volumes, to be able to manage that. So we try to stamp out where we can any grey matter that could really undermine those line hauls.
Definitely.
Good. Okay. We see more and more of our own customer base, shipping into Scotland from the south. So a lot of our customers we have in and around the Midlands, the Northwest, Northampton, those types of areas. We've built a position in line haul so that we can do things like exchanges, cutting out stem mileage, having the ability really to optimize where we can.
That's great. And that sort of ties into the next question. How do you see the green transition impacting the sector?
Well, green transition needs support, no question at all. We all talk about it. We're all trying to make our own commitments given our relative scale, whether you are a multinational, you take the DPD guys, they're out there with the small package cars and they're doing deliveries on electric vehicles, which is fabulous, You just covered stem mileage, David. We're not in a position yet to be able to take a 22-ton line haul to the Midlands and back and meet that demand that the customer needs. And also the cost of trucks needs to come down because they are so much more expensive, and I don't think the market's ready for that yet, particularly at the consumer end. So I think for us, we do what we can, yeah. So our company cars for our people on the road are electric. We've moved to electric fork trucks, LED lighting, and I'm just giving you some examples. We've moved to Euro 6 engines right across the fleet as we try to make our own impact and reduce emissions where we can. And I think, and even working towards paperless regimes within the office space, which is a challenge, when you're moving freight. But these are the small things become big things.
Yeah, it's a journey, isn't it? It's an absolute journey. What development in the sector has surprised you most during your career?
I mentioned the past 5 years. I achieved my 5-year milestone in Bullet, and I sat down and I wrote down some of the things that we'd been through. Nothing surprises me anymore, right? And it sounds terribly cynical, and I don't mean it to come across that way. But look, I think having the ability to overcome obstacles, for me, demonstrates the durability of good businesses to bounce back. Some of the biggest things that have surprised me have been the sheer volume of consolidations that are going on in our sector, particularly, independent companies getting snapped up with multinational, as an example. That's been quite a very fascinating sort of development in my opinion. When I look now, because we're proudly independent as a standalone business. It's one of the reasons why I went down the private equity route, because I thought we're very proud of the Bullet brand. We're proud of having that independent status, and that helps us progress because there is a space for the independent in the market. So a lot has surprised me, and probably I would say, and I'm going back a few years now, but when Brexit really started to kick in, that was another example of, it was full of surprises, this one. I had a number of companies who just folded their cards on traditional markets like the Irish market because they were not set up for it, to cope with it. So, I don't know if that gives you a flavour of some of the things, but certainly life has been full of surprises, David, over the past 5 years for us all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And the final question I'm asking everyone is, if you could speak to the Prime Minister, then what would you ask them to do? And I say he at the moment, but what would you ask them to do to assist your business grow and flourish?
I'd already touched on, local enterprise investing, next generation, very important. I've had the good fortune of working with big companies like Maersk. These guys are doing 25 and 30-year strategy plans. Yeah, and come on, I mean, the government sometimes, for me, are very, very short-minded. Logistics, we should be the quiet people in the background. Connecting the world, that's really what we do. Infrastructure is important. We still don't have the right infrastructure for drivers. Security is a big issue. We've all suffered in some way, with parking trucks overnight, even in secure environments. Facilities for our drivers, the big push towards electric, and emission-free zones. Invest, please, in the infrastructure. Make it affordable for us. That's what I'd be saying to the government. If you want us there, help us there. Private trade and industry, we can only do so much. We do need government support.
Great. Okay. Now, thank you. And that reflects some other comments that people made in other podcasts, and that's wonderful. Just want to say thank you very much, John, for your time. I'm sure our viewers and listeners will enjoy it. And thank you very much again. You take care of yourself.
Much appreciated, David.